F1 is now out in theaters. Dudes will see this and say, hell yeah.
I sure did.
Welcome back to Movies Good, Internet Bad. I'm Corey, that's Shane. This is our review of F1, the movie. Go ahead and
The
subscribe to the
movie.
channel if you haven't already. Shane, non-spoiler thoughts for about 30 seconds here. What did you think of this film?
My non-spoiler thoughts are the first 10 minutes of this movie are not good, and I thought it was
Okay.
going to be a train wreck. And then Joseph Kosinski arrives, and there's a helicopter shot, and there's racing, and you're like, holy shit, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
That is this
Uh,
movie defined.
yeah. I love movies. That is my non-spoiler review of this movie. Shit, man. I love cars. I love movies. This was a marriage of those two things, and oh boy. Okay, spoilers from here on out. Shane, let's start with story because I think that is probably the weakest part of the film, and
Yeah.
then we can ramp up to the things
Okay.
that kind of
Yeah.
put us over the finish line, pun intended. But
Yes.
so how did you feel about the script and the story and where this took us?
The script was very bad. Brad Pitt was playing Maverick, basically identical character, where it's just like, no, I'm the old guy and I don't like
Oh,
to play by the rules anymore. And he gives this monologue like towards the end of the film where he's like, no, I don't do it for the money, I do it for the love of the game, and I just want to fly out there. I'm like, oh my god,
dude,
make it stop.
it's like sports movie cliche in
Yeah.
every direction, but I don't even care. I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought the love story was very half baked. I thought they could have had more conflict between the two drivers. I actually didn't like that the young driver was also bad. Like it would have been a little better if like he was like pretty good,
Like a
but
hot
like they
shot
made him
kind of,
super
right?
arrogant, but like he's terrible. So like
Right.
that didn't match for me. So yeah, I didn't love pretty much any of the character work or any of the Javier Bardem was good though. I like
Yeah.
Javier Bardem. He was just very cool, right? They
Dude.
bring in like the twist villain in the end that's like super obvious and
Yeah, the
stupid, and
sniveling little guy.
every cliche in the book is thrown. It reminds me a lot of like Avatar, the first one, where everyone's
Okay.
like, "I've seen this a million times." It's like, yeah, but you haven't seen it like in this package.
Sure.
It's like the
And thus
story is very simple and basic, and then like everything around it is spectacular.
and thus dudes will see it and say hell yeah.
Yeah, basically. The
That's
guy
it. Like,
next to me, when they first took off in the first F1 race went, I was like, okay.
dude, there I so this is the kind of movie where like if you miss a beat, it's okay, right? Like
Yeah.
you're not gonna
Go to the
lose anything.
bathroom. Who
So I
cares?
was like kind of looking around during it to see what the audience was doing because the house was full. The audience was
Yeah.
completely every seat was full almost, and people were like insanely locked in to what
Yeah.
was happening, and
Yeah.
that to me shows you the power of good production, good cinematography, and like I don't want to sugarcoat this, a fucking movie star at the center of the film.
Yeah.
People love Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Every little throwaway joke line that he had, uproar of laughter.
And what's funny is I don't even think his performance was that good. He's just there.
He's
It's
just
just
there and he's
Brad Pitt.
cool. And that's it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's all it needed to be to
Yeah.
get all of those people to buy into it.
Oh
Uh,
man, I could not stop laughing when it's doing the like the montage scene where the young guy is like doing all the workouts on the
mhm.
machines, and
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
Brad Pitt's playing with tennis balls and shit.
Mhm.
I'm like, oh my god,
Dude,
teaching the young pups the old tricks.
that's it, man. It again, every sports cliche in the book.
Yeah,
You know, it's like can't replace technology or can't replace the old stuff with technology because
right.
sometimes the old stuff is tried and true for a reason. And uh, man, yeah, not the greatest script on earth. But I feel the same way about Top Gun Maverick. I don't think Top Gun Maverick
I
has a
think
great
this is
script
a
either.
way no. So here's the thing: Top Gun Maverick has a simple script, but it is a good script.
It's okay.
I think it is a good script in the fact in the sense that all of the setups have good payoffs. There's emotional stakes. Everything is set up. It's a little bit predictable, but like it works. And like those big highs hit because they're set up throughout the film. I didn't feel like this movie did that nearly as well. All of the setups kind of, and all the big moments, like whenever you get to the very end and he's doing that, rate the final lap where he's
Hmm.
ahead, which also the cinematography there was fantastic.
Oh,
Um,
unbelievable.
but when Kerry Condon says like he's flying,
He's
I'm
flying.
like, no, this is doing nothing for me. And like the very end where they're like, well, if you're not here for the money, then what are you here for? And he like kind of smirks, and then you cut to black. I'm like,
Yeah.
none of that worked for me. Whereas Maverick, like when Maverick and Rooster hug in the end, it's like, yeah, let's go. Like
I
all
mean,
that worked.
I kind of
I
felt that way when Brad Pitt was hugging Javier Bardem and his
Yeah, a
teammate
little
and
bit,
whatnot at the
but
end.
like the very end, I don't
It's
know.
a
I
formula though. It felt very
No, it
similar
is.
to Top Gun Maverick. It was like take out Tom Cruise, put in Brad Pitt, take out airplanes,
Yes,
put in
it did.
cars, and then just go
But you
do the
take
thing.
out Chris McQuarrie from the equation, and I
Sure.
felt like that was sorely missed there.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I don't think anyone is really going to go see this movie for its script.
Yeah,
They're going to go see it for the absurdly ridiculous racing sequences. So let's talk about those.
they are absurdly ridiculous.
Yes.
Like I said, that title sequence where it starts with like a helicopter shot aerial, and it comes
Hmm.
down, and it's a close up on the car, and then it's just like IMAX footage, and you're like,
It
holy shit,
lands
they
like
did that.
at the windshield of the car.
Yeah, I
Oh
know.
man. Whew. Yeah, but
Yeah.
they had to develop some new camera technology for this.
Hmm.
They took the same camera rigs that they made for Top Gun Maverick, but they had to make them smaller
Hmm.
to fit on an F1 car. They actually drove F2 cars for the actors. They
Oh,
weren't actual
interesting.
F1
Okay.
cars for anybody who cares. But
Yeah.
for the sake of weight, aerodynamics, all that kind of stuff, they had to make a really really tiny IMAX certified camera, which they did, and they had them mounted all over the cars. They were on the front, they were on the pillars, they were on the sides, over top on some of them. And uh, I know that you texted me and you were like, "There's one shot that they do too many times, which is like the 180 flip or whatever."
Yep.
Which I do agree with you that they probably did use that too much, but it was really cool every
It
time.
was really cool.
That's all I'm gonna
Yeah,
say.
the shot for people watching, the shot I'm referring to is it's facing front, and then the camera whip pans around 180 and points at the driver,
Yep.
and they do it like 20 times throughout the film. And by the 20th time, I was like, we get it. Really, I think my only major downside to, first off, I would say cinematography is phenomenal. All of the production value is phenomenal. I thought it looked fantastic. I those shot there Most racing movies struggle with speed
Not this one.
because you need, and the way that they do it is they mount the camera and they have things flying past it, whereas this one you're so low to the ground that like you still
Mhm.
feel the speed even though you're going with the car. And I
Yeah.
just loved that. It's so groundbreaking for this type of a movie. um, but my one major, or not major, but minor critique is that I think they cut too quickly sometimes. That ending scene where it's just that lap and it's
Mhm.
more drawn out really hits, because I feel like it was almost edited like a music video for the first 95% of the movie.
Mhm.
There's like no long takes at
Yep.
all. And I think part of that gives it energy, but part of that, I think, when you've got that great of cinematography, sometimes just let it go, just
Right.
let it
Yep.
play out. And I don't know, but
I
that was my
wonder if
only minor critique there.
do you think any part of that was limitations with cameras and whatnot?
It could have been they only had 3 seconds of usable footage before
Right.
it rattled or something like
Yeah,
that.
because that camera uh, was powered by an iPhone chip. So it was
Hmm,
an A series chip or M series chip or whatever Apple uses on the iPhones. And then there was somebody else with a remote control operating it while they're doing the driving.
got
I
it.
can only imagine that being like a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
And how many, Joseph Kosinski said some of this stuff because they're filming during actual F1 race weekends,
Right.
right?
Right.
They only have one take to get a shot or two
Hmm.
takes to get a shot,
Yep.
and make it look as realistic as it did. But all of that really played into, like, it really felt like you were kind of following a team throughout the second half of their season.
Yeah, and what I loved about it too is that they incorporated the real events into the film, and they
Yeah.
used footage from the real races and the
Yep.
actual drivers, and There's a cheeky little line where Brad Pitt is trying to hold off Max Verstappen, and
Mhm.
Verstappen's like the best racer in F1
Right,
right
right,
now.
right, right.
And he's like, "Damn, he's good." And like you could hear the people around me be like, "Yeah, yeah, he is. He's
Yeah,
great."
yeah. There was
Verstappen,
another one
he's the
where
guy.
it was either Max or Lewis Hamilton that passes Brad Pitt's character, and Brad Pitt just goes, "Yeah, I deserve that." Because
I love
obviously
it.
you can't just have a nobody come in and be better than
Yeah,
the guys that are making
exactly.
$50 million a year
And,
to do this
and
stuff.
that I think is maybe the only downside to the script too, is that there's no real villain, right? If you think about any other racing movie, there's some villain you're up against, and this one it was more the field was the villain.
Yeah,
I guess you get that like cheeky investor bad guy at the very end, but
yeah.
I kind of wish like I don't know, like if you're gonna go Lewis Hamilton as the final boss and he's the exec producer, can he act? I don't know. Maybe
I
put
don't
him in the
know.
movie. I don't know.
It almost kind of felt like the villain of the movie was time,
Yeah,
because
and
Brad
that's
Pitt's character
really
is obviously almost done with his career,
yeah,
for a lot of reasons, health being the primary one.
yeah.
But oh,
I think too, like F1 in general, like as a sport, is all about those thin margins, and that's kind
mhm.
of what ends up being the villain
Yep,
in real life, right? It's
yep,
you can win or lose by a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a second,
yep,
and one simple mistake can lose you the entire race.
yeah,
And that's kind of what makes it so unique as a sport. It's so precise. You have to be perfect.
yeah. Like the pit stops being 3 seconds compared
Yeah,
to nine
exactly.
seconds or whatever,
Exactly. Yep.
and all that. Because and then they were talking at one point. They're like, yeah, they're gaining a third of a second every lap, and then when there's 70 something laps, that
Yeah.
becomes the difference in who's in
Last and
first, who's in
first. Right.
last, and all that other
Yep.
kind of stuff. So
Yep.
I loved all that. I thought it was really cool.
Mhm.
I'm not an F1 enthusiast, so for me, I bought into all that shit, the hook, line, and sinker. The person
Yeah,
I went
I
and saw it with, massive F1 fan, he said that some of the things kind of took him out a little bit because he knows how it really goes in the actual
right.
sport. But I was
Right.
like, blissfully ignorant, man. Let's go.
Yeah.
This is great.
I am the like the worst kind of F1 fan where it's like, yeah, I know F1 because I
Oh,
watched like
are you
Drive to
casual?
Survive. Yeah, I watched Drive to Survive for a couple seasons. And yeah, yeah, I'm a fan. I'm sure like the actual fans hate me, but
Well,
I still need to go to a race. We've got a
you have
track
the
like
Circuit of the Americas
yeah.
right
Yeah,
by
we've
you,
got it
right?
in
Yeah.
Austin. I've been to the Circuit of the Americas for 2 events, but neither of them were F1.
Gotcha. Okay.
But eventually I'll make it out there. I
Well,
think this is going to be huge for the sport. Like
I mean,
this movie going to give so
yeah,
much visibility to the sport.
it's a giant advertisement
Yeah.
for what the sport is.
Hmm.
A giant expensive advertisement for what the sport is, and it made it look really cool and really
Yeah.
exciting, and you know, dangerous to a
Hmm.
degree. There is one scene in the movie where
That
a driver's
rain
car,
crash was
oh,
crazy.
dude. So the lady who was sitting next to me was very quiet the whole movie, and was paying attention, totally locked in. When the car went up in the air and started spinning, and then it landed and caught on fire, she did this and went, no, 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 no. And I was like, man, that's when a movie's got
Yeah.
somebody, right?
Yeah.
Because like the shit's not real, but
Yeah.
they bought all of it. So
Yeah.
I think
At
there's
the
gonna be a
end of
very high
my
audience score on Rotten
yeah,
Tomatoes for
it's
this
got a
film.
97% audience score right
Okay,
now.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's insane.
it's yeah. This is going to be a cinema score, maybe A plus cinema score, high word of mouth. Yeah, I everyone in my theater was clapping at the end when they
Yeah,
won,
yeah,
and it's just like I go to Alamo Draft House, so like that doesn't happen. People don't clap
yeah,
in movies at Alamo Draft House. If that's happening, they're really in.
yeah.
But
That's
I
cool.
want to talk about the sound for a
Hell yeah,
second
let's talk about
because
the
that
sound.
was,
Oh
I think, the highlight of the film for me. Uh, the
yes.
roar of the engines when they were going by, and it used the entire soundstage because I feel like most of the time in racing movies you catch the high end of all of
Hmm.
those motors, but the
Yeah,
low end never comes through. And in this, it rocked the house.
for sure. Yeah,
And
the
then, what do you think of Zimmer's score?
Club Zimmer, man.
Clive Zimmer. It felt like him doing challengers, right?
Kind
Um,
of, yeah, yeah.
just that driving beat that kept all the tempo. But it's funny because I told you this before you saw it, and I'm wondering if you caught it. But like I feel like the main theme was Inception,
Hmm.
and then like there was a scene in the movie where I was like, oh, that's Interstellar, and then
Hmm.
like some of the other stuff sounded like The Dark Knight. It's just like a best of Hans
Yeah,
Zimmer.
I mean, it might have been a little bit of all of those from like a motif standpoint.
Yeah,
But I think, and I can't say for certain because I've never been to an F1 event, but if they did just like a straight orchestral score for this, it probably would not have fit the movie in any
I
way, shape,
agree.
or form.
Yeah,
Having that high energy, four on the floor kind of soundtrack made a lot of sense.
yeah,
It's high impact, it's high octane, all that nonsense. I actually thought the score was good and it propelled things forward when it needed to. But then it also, because the score was so loud and in your face, when they pulled it away and they did stuff where it was just racing without any music,
yeah,
it became that much more tense when they
yeah.
were doing it, which was cool.
Yeah, it's also F1 in general is just a very European sport, and Europeans love dance music. I
Okay,
love
yeah,
dance music as well, but so I was super into it. I also love the Challenger score. Like, put more EDM into movie scores, please.
yeah. So you saw the movie in an Atmos theater, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And I saw it in a IMAX theater that had the certified IMAX speakers up in the ceiling and whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, the way that they used the sound design for the commentators that were calling the race, it
Hmm.
was all from
All
above your
above you.
head,
Yep.
and it just felt like it put you right into everything.
Yeah.
I Exquisite sound design.
Yeah, I think the movie suffers a little bit from too much narration from that, but it puts you in an F1 race. Like if you
Sure.
watch an F1 race, it's those commentators do some of the races, if
And
not
that's not
all
an
of
issue
them.
with the
So
sound design. That's a script choice or
that's
whatever, right?
absolutely a choice, and I was okay with it because it feels more authentic to the sport. Most of the time you're watching F1 is going to be with commentators, so
Right.
worked for me.
Yeah. I I'm sure that after I sit with it, because I just got out of it like an hour ago, I'll
Hmm.
probably find some more things to nitpick. But as far
Oh,
as,
I could nitpick that script for days, man.
sure, but like for getting out of real life for 2.5 hours
Yeah, I
and just the pretty pictures on the screen and the loud
it's
noises,
one of
man.
those movies that like I want to hate because the script is bad, but you just can't hate it.
Yeah.
It's just so fun and so cool. Like everything about it oozes cool,
Yep.
and the production value is exquisite. And like this is why you go to the movies.
How old
Just
is
it's
Brad
an
Pitt?
escape for 2.5 hours. I don't know, probably mid 50s.
Are you Googling?
61. Yeah,
Yeah, that dude is
61.
61 years old, and he's
Yeah.
still like one of the coolest guys on earth.
don't
Like,
uh don't ask his kids' opinion though.
well, I mean, in the movies, I'm not talking about real life, but like, he just like, so they do the thing in the beginning of the movie where he walks up with his bags, and everyone's like, "Who the hell is this guy?" And then they
Yeah.
call that back later in the film.
Yeah.
Dude, my audience was just like, "Yeah, it's Brad Pitt." Like, just
Yeah.
radiates cool.
Yeah, whenever I think the joke that got the most laughs in the entire film was where they asked like, "How did you get here?" And he's like, "Premium
Premium
economy."
economy.
It's like, okay. It's not
Yeah,
even a great joke, but Brad Pitt says it and it's funny.
people love him, man. I think it's so. My question before we wrap this up now is, uh, it's a very crowded box office right now
Mhm.
because we're in the summer season. There's a bunch of kids movies out. We're about to have Jurassic World next week, and then Superman the week after, and then Fantastic Four 2 weeks after that. This movie came with a very large budget. Do you think it will perform at the box office and leg out, or do you think that some of the other movies coming out will kind of stop it in its tracks?
I think I don't know how much Jurassic World will stop it because I think there's going to be a core dad audience for this movie that'll just go see it. Like older
Yeah,
adults will go see it, and I don't
there
think
were a
they're going to go care about comic books or
bunch in my
Jurassic
theater,
World.
older
Yeah,
folks that were real
yeah,
into it. Yeah.
my theater tended to be older as well. Um, but it's hard to say because with an audience score that good, the word of mouth is going to be great. A lot
Hmm.
of this is a movie that demands to be seen in the theaters. I
Oh
really
God, yes.
wonder,
Yeah.
like, compare if you're browsing your menu of options and your option is F1 with a 97% audience score or Jurassic World with an 85%. You might make your decision based on that. I don't know.
I don't
I
know.
don't know what Jurassic World is going to end up being. You said that you think the audience score is going to be pretty high, right?
I think the audience score is going to be high, and I think the critic score is going to be mediocre.
Yeah, yeah. Whereas this one, it kind of has both, but I just don't know. Like 97% audience score is like impeccable word of mouth. People are
Yeah,
going to be talking about
yeah,
it.
that's really
So
good.
I just wonder, will it? It's tough. Like maybe this is one that people just go out to see. Like the same thing
Yeah,
happened with Top Gun Maverick, where
that's very true.
it
Yeah,
came out in a crowded summer
yeah,
and it just dominated because it was just everyone was talking about it.
yeah. And you mentioned the older crowd. Uh, Older crowds tend to not show up opening weekend.
True.
They tend to go during the week. They go
Yeah.
on discount Tuesday. They'll go
Hmm.
2 weeks after when the movie's been out for a while because they don't want to deal with the crowds or whatever. I'm very curious to see how this one does because
Yeah.
I think with the spectacle and the way they're pushing it is a movie that needs to be seen on a big screen. You know, even if the IMAX run is only 2 weeks because Superman
Hmm.
is going to bump it 2 weeks from now. I think it'll do well, but stranger things have happened, obviously, at the box
I
office lately. So,
I honestly have no idea how this is gonna go. I
well,
hope it does well. I mean, I'd love to see great production value rewarded. I would rather watch this 1,000 times than Jurassic Park 19.
I can't disagree with you there. This was something new and fresh, and
Yeah,
you know, for as much as the comparisons can be made to Top Gun Maverick, I can safely say I've never seen a movie quite like this before because it's a thing that I've never been exposed to with the F1 stuff. So
and honestly, I thought the script was worse than Top Gun Maverick. I think the spectacle might even be better than Top
just as
Gun
good,
Maverick.
yeah,
Yeah. So
and
if you like
potentially
Top
even
Gun
more
Maverick,
relatable because I've never flown a plane, but I have driven a car. You
yeah,
know,
it's
so
true.
like people can relate to that a little bit better. But
Yeah, that's true.
and any other thoughts on this one before
No,
we wrap it up
go
and take it home?
go see it. Go see it in IMAX and just have a blast.
Yeah, if you go see it in IMAX, it is in a taller aspect ratio than if you see it in a regular theater. It is definitely worth it to do that. So if you have an IMAX near you, definitely take advantage of that. But that's going to wrap things up for this video. Would love to hear your thoughts if you went to see F1 or if you're an F1 fan. Drop us a comment below. Let us know what you think. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Jurassic World comes out next week, but we have a video out about it already because I got to see it last week. So go ahead and check that out here on the channel. The next video I guess we're going to do is probably about Superman, which comes out 2 weeks from now. And then we'll be back for Fantastic Four and whatever else comes out for the rest of the summer. So be on the lookout for all of those and so much more. And until next time, we'll see you guys in the next video.